At just 20 years old, he became king. Before turning 30, he had conquered the largest empire the ancient world had ever seen. This is the incredible story of Alexander the Great, the warrior who changed history forever. Alexander was born in 356 BC in the kingdom of Macedon. From an early age, he was trained by the great philosopher Aristotle, who taught him science, philosophy, politics, and the art of leadership. These lessons would prepare him to become one of history's greatest conquerors. Even as a boy, Alexander showed extraordinary courage. When no one could control a wild horse named Bucephalus, Alexander noticed that the animal feared its own shadow. He calmly turned the horse toward the sun and successfully tamed it. His father, King Philip II, proudly declared, "My son, seek a kingdom equal to yourself. Macedon is too small for you." In 336 BC, tragedy struck the kingdom of Macedon. King Philip II was assassinated, and at only 20 years old, Alexander became the new king. Many believed he was too young to rule. But they would soon discover they had underestimated one of history's greatest military leaders. After securing his kingdom, Alexander turned his eyes toward the mighty Persian Empire. In 334 BC, he crossed the Hellespont with nearly 40,000 soldiers. It was the beginning of an extraordinary campaign that would change the course of history forever. Alexander's first great test came at the Granicus River. Facing a powerful Persian force, he led the attack himself from the front. Despite the danger, his fearless leadership inspired his soldiers. By the end of the battle, the Persians had been defeated, and Alexander had won his first major victory in Asia. In 333 BC, Alexander faced the mighty Persian king Darius III at the Battle of Issus. Although greatly outnumbered, Alexander used brilliant tactics and fearless leadership to break through the Persian lines. As Darius fled the battlefield, the Persian army collapsed, and Alexander proved that strategy could defeat even the largest army. The island city of Tyre was believed to be impossible to conquer. Protected by massive walls and surrounded by the sea, it had never fallen to an invading army. But Alexander refused to give up. He ordered the construction of a giant stone causeway across the sea. After 7 months of relentless fighting, Tyre finally fell, proving that no obstacle was too great for Alexander. After his victories in Persia, Alexander entered Egypt in 332 BC. Unlike other conquerors, he was welcomed as a liberator. During his time there, he founded the city of Alexandria, which would grow into one of the greatest centers of learning, culture, and trade in the ancient world. In 331 BC, Alexander faced King Darius III for the final time at the Battle of Gaugamela. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Alexander executed one of the greatest military strategies in history. The Persian army collapsed, Darius fled the battlefield, and the mighty Persian Empire came to an end. At just 25 years old, Alexander had become the ruler of the largest empire the world had ever seen. After his stunning victory at Gaugamela, Alexander entered the legendary city of Babylon. Instead of destroying the city, he honored its culture and traditions. The people welcomed him as their new ruler, and Babylon became one of the most important capitals of his growing empire. In 330 BC, Alexander captured Persepolis, the ceremonial capital of the Persian Empire. Soon after, the magnificent royal palace was set ablaze. Historians still debate whether it was an act of revenge for Persia's past invasion of Greece or a decision Alexander later regretted. Whatever the reason, the burning of Persepolis marked the symbolic end of the Persian Empire. After defeating the Persian Empire, Alexander refused to stop. He marched deep into Central Asia, where fierce warriors and difficult landscapes tested his army like never before. Every victory came at a greater cost, but Alexander's dream of conquering the known world remained unchanged. In 326 BC, Alexander entered India and faced one of his greatest challenges. At the Battle of the Hydaspes River, he fought King Porus and an army supported by massive war elephants. Despite the difficult conditions and fierce resistance, Alexander's strategy secured another remarkable victory. Impressed by Porus's courage, he allowed him to remain king as an ally. After years of constant warfare, Alexander wanted to push even farther into India. But his soldiers had reached their limit. Exhausted, homesick, and unwilling to fight another campaign, they refused to march. For the first time in his career, Alexander accepted defeat, not on the battlefield, but before the will of his own army. The journey home became one of Alexander's greatest challenges. Crossing the deadly Gedrosian desert, his army faced unbearable heat, thirst, and starvation. Thousands of soldiers lost their lives. Refusing special treatment, Alexander shared the hardships of his men, strengthening the loyalty that had carried them across continents. In 324 BC, Alexander returned to Babylon after years of conquest. His empire now stretched from Greece to India. Yet he was not satisfied. Alexander began planning an even greater campaign, one that would take his armies into Arabia and perhaps beyond. But fate had other plans. In 323 BC, while in Babylon, Alexander suddenly became seriously ill. For nearly 2 weeks, his condition worsened, and even the finest physicians could not save him. To this day, historians still debate the cause of his death. Was it disease, poison, or something else? The mystery remains unsolved. In June 323 BC, at just 32 years old, Alexander the Great died in Babylon. His sudden death shocked the ancient world. The man who had conquered the largest empire of his time left behind no clear successor. His dream of a united empire would soon begin to fall. After Alexander's death, there was no clear heir to unite the empire. His most trusted generals turned against one another, each determined to claim power. The wars of the Diadochi shattered the empire into rival kingdoms, bringing an end to Alexander's dream of a single united world. Although Alexander's empire was divided, his influence did not disappear. His generals founded powerful kingdoms across Egypt, Asia, and Greece. These new Hellenistic states preserved Greek culture, language, science, and art, spreading them across the ancient world for centuries. Although Alexander's empire was divided, his influence did not disappear. His generals founded powerful kingdoms across Egypt, Asia, and Greece. These new Hellenistic states preserved Greek culture, language, science, and art, spreading them across the ancient world for centuries. One of Alexander's greatest legacies was the city of Alexandria. It became home to the legendary Library of Alexandria, the largest center of knowledge in the ancient world. Scholars from across different civilizations gathered here to study science, mathematics, medicine, philosophy, and astronomy, preserving ideas that would influence humanity for generations. Alexander ruled for only 13 years, yet his achievements changed the course of history forever. He never lost a single battle, united cultures across continents, and inspired generations of military leaders. More than 2,000 years later, Alexander the Great remains one of the greatest commanders the world has ever known. Alexander's influence did not end with his death. His military strategies are still studied in academies around the world. His vision connected civilizations, encouraged the exchange of ideas, and helped shape the course of human history. Alexander the Great died at the height of his power, but legends never truly die. His courage, ambition, and vision continue to inspire millions around the world. More than 2,000 years later, his name still echoes through the pages of history. Centuries have passed since Alexander's time, yet his legacy remains alive. His statues stand proudly, his battles are still studied, and his leadership continues to inspire people across the world. Few names in history have endured as powerfully as Alexander the Great. Although Alexander's empire did not survive as a single kingdom, his influence spread far beyond his lifetime. His conquests connected civilizations, expanded trade, and spread Greek culture across 3 continents. The world he helped create shaped history for centuries and continues to influence our civilization today. Alexander the Great ruled for only 13 years, yet his name has endured for more than 2,000. His courage, ambition, and vision transformed the ancient world and inspired generations that followed. Few people in history have changed the course of civilization as profoundly as Alexander. Empires rise and fall, but true legends live forever. More than 2,000 years after his death, Alexander the Great remains a symbol of courage, ambition, and extraordinary leadership. His story reminds us that one person's vision can change the course of history. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to Historivox and join us as we explore the greatest stories ever